Hello everyone, my name is Camilo Suarez. Today I will talk about the Community Language Learning Method. This method it is also called as an abbreviation CLL. It is a special way to learn a new language. So first I will talk about the history. Who created this method? A man named Charles Corran, he created and he created in the 1970s. Charles Curran was a psychologist and he studied how people just feel when they learn, all right? And also he believed that learning is not just about a book, like read books, no. It is also about feelings. And he just wanted to help students feel safe and confident and happy while they're learning. And that is why he created this method CLL. And the first principle that I'm gonna show you is the supporting community. Right? In this method, the principle is about the classroom. Right? In the classroom, like the community, this is a group of people who help each other and they try to work together to get through. The second principle it is reducing anxiety. I mean, the second principle, anxiety is a feeling of fear or worry, right? This method wants to reduce that feeling and that fear, and the teacher acts as a counselor, right? Like a counselor is a person who helps and guides others, and the teacher is not a boss in this case. The teacher just is like a friend who helps you. Uh-huh. In conclusion, I think community languages isn't about creating a safe place to learn, and it started in the 1970s with Charles Curran. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Julio. I'm going to talk about the teacher-students interaction, how language is viewed in this approach, and how culture is viewed, okay? The teacher-students interaction. The teacher is the counselor. The teacher doesn't act as a traditional instructor. They remain outside or behind the student circle, providing linguistic support, translations, and psychological security. They don't judge, mock up, or overcorrect. The students are the clients. The students sit in a tight circle facing each other. They determine what they want to talk about based on their own experiences and immediate life context and interest. As the course progresses, the relationship evolves to different stages of development, moving from absolute student dependence on the teacher. This is at the beginning, okay, and to total linguistic independence is in the final of the course, for example. Now, how language is viewed? Community language learning rejects the structural view of language as an inventory of sounds, words, and grammar rules. Instead, language is viewed as a social process and self-expression. Language is a highly personal medium to people construct their identity and build communities. And it is a vehicle for building personal relationships. Curran noted that language is not just communication, okay? Also, it's a way to share one inner reality with another person's. Now, how culture is viewed? Culture is viewed from a humanistic and interpersonal lens. It is viewed as inseparable from the community. Culture is studied as an abstract topic like history or literature. Culture in community language learning is discovered through the microculture built within the classroom circle itself. by learning to understand and respect the thoughts, anxieties, and values of their peers, okay, in a new language. Students develop an organic intercultural empathy.
Hi, my name is Emily Jimenez, and I'm going to talk about a skill role. The skill role, or the role of language skills from the learner's perspective. In traditional methods, students practice skills in an isolated and artificial way. In communicative language learning, students experience an integration of skills. What does this mean? It means that learners experience the language in the same way they will use it in their daily lives. The role of each skill is always functional. Students do not read to translate, they read to understand the information they actually need. They do not speak to repeat a mechanical structure. They speak to negotiate, express an emotion, or solve a problem with their peers. The fourth skill, um, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, become the active tools with which students build their own knowledge. Native language role. The native language role, which means the role that the student's mother tongue plays in their learning process. When students try to learn a new language, it is completely natural for their minds to try to rely on their native language to find security. However, in communicative learning, the role of the native language is auxiliary and very limited. For the student's brain to truly begin processing the new language, they need to be exposed to it most of the time, creating an atmosphere of immersion. Students try to think and read directly in the target language. No, no, nonetheless, um, nonetheless, this approach is not rigid. Learners are allowed to turn to their native language in very specific moments. For example, as a quick lifesaver to clarify a complex doubt or an abstract concept that is hindering their communication. The rule for the student is immerse, immerse yourself in the new language as much as possible and use the native language only when strictly necessary. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rene Bustamante. Okay, how evaluation is viewed in communicative language learning? Evaluation is heavily influenced by the methods humanistic in learner-centered philosophy. Okay, first, no classroom tests. Although a teacher could use a conventional test if required, it is not the standard approach in this method. Second, integrative application. Okay, a teacher would likely use integrative tests such an oral interview or an essay, rather than a discrete point test that isolates grammar structures. In the last one, self-evaluation. A core component of evaluation is having a student assess their own progress. This allows them to look back and see how much they have learned and how far they have come. Now, explanation of the techniques proposed by community language learning. Okay, the techniques in community language learning are designed to lower students' psychological barriers and fosters a supportive community. Okay, 1. tape recording a student conversation. Students sit in a circle and choose what they want to say. The teacher helps them translate it into the target language, and the students, record their voices to capture a continuous pace of native-like conversation. 2. Transcription. The teacher transcribes the record conversation onto the board, creating the text that the class will use for subsequent study and analysis. 3. Reflection on experience. The teacher explicitly guides a session where students share how they felt during the activity. This helps them realize any accessory of frustration involved in sense of community. 5. Reflective listening. Students relax in listening to playback in their own recording conversation, while the teacher reads it aloud, help them internalize the sounds and structures. 6. A human computer. A student chooses a phrase they want to practice pronouncing, and they say it, and the teacher, acting as a computer, repeats it correctly. The students can control the interaction by stopping or starting, and the teacher as often they need without feeling judged. And the last one, 7th, small group tasks. Students working in small groups to create new conversations or sentences based on the text they transcribe, encouraging collaboration and self-reliance rather than depends on the teacher.